It's awful. It's like they're taking a play out of the Ebenezer Scrooge playbook, but they're trying to act like they're a Bob Cratchit, right? They're trying to act like they're an everyman, struggling everyman is trying to appeal to us, but we see through it. We know that you guys are two Scrooges, and we know that you're full of BS, and we're getting really sick of it, frankly. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jennifer. I am so excited to have you here. Today, we're gonna get into it. Meghan Markle has released her holiday celebration special on Netflix. This Netflix deal has now officially come to a close. The deal is done, you guys. I think the deal is dead in the water. This is it. We are not going to be seeing anything. No partnership between Meghan and Netflix moving forward. That is my prediction. They're only on a first look deal now, her and Harry. But, you know, we have been through it this year, okay? All of season 1 with love, the season 2, which she tried to bill as something that was separate, that was filmed later, that was picked up because 1 was so spectacular. No. We all know it was filmed at the same time. And now we have pretty much, I believe, definitive proof that this holiday celebration special was also filmed at the same time. Season 1 and 2 were filmed because her beloved dog Guy is alive and well during the entire production of this holiday extravaganza. Because if you'll recall, she posted, I believe, January 2025 about her beloved dog Guy passing away, but reports around the same time were stating that no, the dog actually passed away in fall of 24, and she was kind of holding on to that story. And so many people at the time felt that she released that story to counter the backlash that she was getting being a disaster tourist during all of the Los Angeles wildfires that were going on. So remember that she's always got something cooking on the background on that stove. I mean, when she talks about having boiling water on her stove for her guests at holiday time, I really feel that that's how she is with these PR stories of hers. She has them on the back burner all the time that she feels that she can just pull out whenever she needs them to try to counter any type of negativity or negative stories that are going on around her at the time. Point being, so Guy is in this holiday shindig show. So this was all filmed at the same time. This is all old stuff. And the thing about it that is not really good for Meghan is all the criticism that she got for the first little thing that she released season 1 was the same for season 2. And it's now being echoed now for this holiday special that she put out. Because when you batch film them all at one time, you don't really get a chance to improve. You don't really get a chance to listen to the critics, listen to your audience. But then again, this is a woman that will not turn her comments on in Instagram. So she doesn't really care what you think, and she doesn't really care what I think. She's just gonna batch film, squeeze all the money she can out of Netflix while she can, and then just release them. You know, she's gonna bless and release it. So that's why there's been this tsunami of Netflix material that we've been exposed to all this year. And you knew it was coming. You knew we were going to talk about it. Everyone's talking about it. But you know what I like to do? I like to watch it. I like to take a few days. I like to really digest, come to terms with what I'm watching and how what I'm watching, which is usually narcissistic craziness on display wherever this woman and her husband are concerned. I just like to watch it, and I just like to, as Meghan likes to say, look through the lens of how can I watch this and use that to make myself and us better people, because that's what it's about, right? We're all sinners. We're all working to get to heaven. Well, hopefully most of us are. And there's so much out there because there's so much craziness going on in our culture right now. Power struggles, political struggles, division, tribalism. Everyone's angry, greed, love of money, craziness going on. And I really think that Meghan Markle, the reason why so many of us talk about this woman is because we cannot look away from this car crash. This woman is a car crash in motion in real time. There's so much going on with her. And I really think she worships at the altar of all the wrong things in life to worship at. She wants power, she wants money, she wants fame, she wants all of it. And it's just the wrong route to take. That image that she's trying to project, when in reality, we all know the truth, it's quite frightening. And being the Christmas spirit, as I was watching this debacle, this holiday celebration, I kept thinking about A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, one of my absolute favorite stories of all time. I love the book. I love practically every movie adaptation I've seen. I will watch them all if they're on TV, although my favorite is the 1984 version with George C. Scott. So if you have not seen that version, do yourself a favor and watch it, because it is chef's kiss. But, I just love the story. I love the message. I love the fact that when Charles Dickens wrote that book originally in the mid-19th century, he called it a Christmas ghost story. And it was everything that he was looking at going on in England at the time, in Victorian England. And it was his testament, his cultural testament as to everything that he saw wrong going on in Victorian society at the time. He was writing about marginalized people. He was writing about all the wrongs that he wanted to see right. And it was a beautiful story that is really timeless. You can watch it now and it still applies in our modern day times, much like it did back then. And I'm watching her special and I'm thinking, Harry and Meghan are being haunted right now. Right now, they are being haunted by the ghosts of their Christmas pasts, the ghost of their Christmas present, and they're going to be haunted by the ghost of their Christmas future. And their future is going to be bleak indeed, unless they get it together. So we're going to get into all of it. We need to talk about this special because I think this special really exemplifies for obviously Meghan, because it's her show, right? Although Harry does make a little appearance and we will chat about that as well. But it exemplified for me how Meghan especially is being haunted by the ghosts of her Christmas past and her Christmas present. And she's denying it and she's fighting it. She is just going to present to us this loving show us these loving, sweeping gestures, and remind us what family means, remind us what togetherness means and connectedness and all this. And it's just sad because we know the truth. We know who she is behind the mask, and we're offended. And we're not buying it. How she has no connection in her life, no familial connections. And it's just a walking, talking experiment in hypocrisy. And nothing personified that more than when I was watching this show. Hey guys, okay, so I'm in editing for the video, and literally overnight, I wake up here in Germany and it came out that Meghan reached out to her dad. And I don't know how to feel about this. I really don't. Part of me is extremely skeptical. So many of us are at this point when hearing about, what this woman does and says. Part of me is happy, but basically the Daily Mail has come out, and this is from their article. It says a spokesperson for the Duchess of Sussex had previously declined to comment on reports first published exclusively by the Daily Mail, meaning reports that her father was ill, right? And it says in an updated statement this evening, they said, quote, I can confirm that she, meaning Meghan, has reached out to her father, end quote. No further details have been released, including whether or not her attempt was successful. And apparently she only found out about this, like we all did, through, the internet, news articles. And just the fact that the Daily Mail is saying that they don't know, they can't confirm whether or not the attempt was successful. I don't know. This just does not ring true to me. Part of me feels like I'm not going to believe it until someone from Thomas Sr.'s camp speaks out, meaning Samantha or Tom Jr. or something like that. But the reason why I don't really feel like it rings true is because it just feels like everything this woman does is for publicity's sake, to save her skin. She's been getting so much backlash since her father was admitted to the hospital, and she wants to save face. She's launching a new chocolate bar. Her Netflix Christmas special just got released. She can't have all this negativity swirling. She just can't have it. So here's what I think's going on. I think she probably did reach out.
but probably in the most superficial way possible, meaning not directly to a family member. She probably tried to find out what hospital he was in, and then, like that article was alluding to, she was trying to verify reports through her people that he was indeed hospitalized. She's doing it that way because she's trying to safeguard herself, let's put it that way. She knows how angry her family is with her, particularly her half siblings. And I think that there's going to be terms, right? Meghan's not going to do anything unless she sets forth terms. I think if she does end up talking to her dad, talking to her siblings, she's basically going to lay ground rules and say, look, I'm going to help you out. Maybe I'll throw some money your way, because I personally feel Meghan looks at this like throwing money at a problem. Okay. She's probably saying, hey, I'll throw some money at this and get dad the care that he needs, blah, blah, blah. But in return, I want you guys to stop making comments about me in the media, particularly, for example, right now, her half brother, Tom Jr., is making really, really cray videos on his own YouTube channel, calling her all sorts of wholly ungodly names. It's really quite sad. But yeah, she's probably saying things like that, like, you're going to stop talking about me. All this is going to be shut down. I will help you. I will give you money, da 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 da, but you will stop talking about me in the press. I want all this quietly to go away. And then after that, she'll just release a statement saying, hey, I've spoken to my dad. We're working through our issues. I've offered some assistance, and then leave it at that. I really think that is what she's going to do. She just wants this completely shut down because her end goal is to make these people go away, make this situation go away. And that's exactly what I think she's doing. That's my opinion on all of it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But in the meantime, let's get back to this debacle of a holiday special. This holiday special that she filmed before her father inconveniently decided to lose a limb in the hospital. Remember, okay, as I'm talking about this special to you, remember how she filmed this with no intention of bringing this estranged family of hers into the equation at all. She's dealing with her family right now because she has to, because it's affecting her bottom line. And it's really, really sad. But who cares? Okay, fine. Whatever it took to get her to this point, at least thank the Lord. Hopefully, if this is true, and I think it is, I do think she reached out. But let's just hope that somehow, some way, that this will start her on a new path, because because what she's been doing for the last almost 10 years is frankly despicable. Okay, moving on.
So let's get into the show. She's trying to supposedly teach us things, but we're not learning anything. But there's no real instruction. There's no real in-depth tutorials that would make you feel that you could really take something away from it and actually replicate that in your own life. At least that's what I thought. Either she's doing things that are they don't seem realistic. They don't seem reasonable. They seem to me things that might be fun if you were say going to a workshop or something that you paid for and everything was laid out for you so you didn't have to go run and get all these supplies. It's either like that or it's unrealistic, or she's showcasing things like when she's talking about boiling water, like I was talking about in my other video where I was critiquing her thing about boiling this cider on the stove for hours and hours and then serving it to her guests. Stuff that's so unbelievably mundane and boring and everyone already knows how to do. It seems that there's nothing in the middle that can get you excited, that can get you thinking about, oh, I'm gonna try that. You know how she likes to talk about when she's dressing, she likes to mix high-low pieces. That's how I kind of feel like when I'm watching her show. It's a mixture of high-low. High meaning I wouldn't even bother wanting to try that stuff because it seems way too out there and time-consuming, and ain't got time for that. Or it's something that's so mundane low where I'm like, yeah, I've been doing that for a bajillion years. Like, what are you teaching me here? So watching her, whether she's on her Netflix gig, whether she's giving these speeches, or whether she's making appearances in Paris Fashion Week where she's trying to be a fashionista, or whether she's trying to, sell us her scam jam, whatever she's doing, it is narcissistic and it is negative. So of course we're going to pick apart the things that are wrong. But then, again, to be fair, I felt that she looked pretty cute during the show. I like and appreciate when she has her hair pulled back when she's cooking, especially because, keep the wig or hair, whatever it is, out of the food. So I'm happy that she did that. I think that she can look pretty if she tries, but anywho, it opens up with her at a Christmas tree farm, and it just seems really, really sad. Hold on, I have this here. Let me turn the volume down because Netflix is crazy for copyright. But it just shows her in this Christmas tree farm and no children around. When I was little, my parents, we would go pick up the Christmas tree, and that was the highlight of December practically, is picking the tree. And my parents would always let me pick the tree. And it was just, you have to do it as a family. I mean, that's what makes it fun. And again, I don't understand why she's just walking and skipping around a Christmas tree farm by herself. Whatever. Like, I don't feel joy watching some lone person walking around picking a tree by themselves. It looks lonely. It looks scary. And then she opens it up by telling us how to decorate a Christmas tree and why a Christmas tree is so wonderful for her, as if this is some anomaly that she's teaching us about trees or something. She talks about stringing lights and how she strings them on the inside and the outside, and how ornaments tell the story of your life and your memories. And I'm looking at this whole shenanigan and I'm thinking, when you decorate a tree, Megan, does that mean that your tree only tells the story from 2018 on? Because she's ghosted everyone in her family. And she's talking about memories and what is important to her about Christmas and family and all this, but she's ghosted her family. She does not talk to her family, and she doesn't talk to her husband's family. So I guess when you see her tree, forget about everything pre-2018, right? She marries into the family. She pretty much ghosted her father and everyone before the wedding, and that is it. And then 2 years later, she escapes the UK because they're evil, rotten, horrible racists, and she runs to first Canada on Vancouver Island, and then she runs to Montecito and, Southern California, because there she can get all the privacy that she's craving. I guess if you were to confront her with that and you were saying, well, you don't talk to your family, so you talk about memories and trees. So she would probably say, well, I've had such toxic relationships and I was treated so badly by both my husband's family and my own family that I'm forging my own path ahead and I'm making my own wonderful memories. Because that's what people like this say, especially these narcissistic types that like to ghost people. They like to rewrite history. And a lot of these psychoanalysts that talk about narcissists, they talk about the fact that they like, let me pause this really quick. They like to paint people black, like just blot them out. They do not exist. They will never exist moving forward. It's almost like they never existed. They don't have a past with them. They don't have a present with them. And then they definitely don't have a future with them. And that's how I think Megan is treating both sides of her husband's family, probably more so her own because she feels that she has more control in that area. But that's going to prove very, very problematic for her. And we'll get into that later because, as I'm sure so many of you have seen, Thomas Markle Sr. is in critical condition currently as of this filming in a hospital. He had to have his left leg from the knee down amputated because of blood clots and poor circulation. His family and all the news outlets are reporting that his foot first turned blue, then black, and had to be amputated. So this man is in a really bad way right now. And when you are in your 80s like that, to be in a hospital and to have that type of life-threatening surgery related to clots and circulation and all that, and this man had a stroke back in 2022. Things are not looking good. So she cannot expect so many of us out here to not say, what are you doing about this, Megan? Are you going to even acknowledge that this man exists? Just very, very sad. She's in this rented house with these rent-a-friends coming, and she supposedly has these friends, Kelly and Lindsay, that are dear, dear friends. Lindsay, since she said she was 17, and also this Kelly friend of hers that make appearances and telling us about family and togetherness and Christmas trees when her family is basically this crazy public shitstorm media show that it is. poor Thomas Markle in the hospital, right? And then she starts talking about Advent calendars and how Advent calendars are a wonderful tradition that she is doing, and she's embracing the moment. She's putting little cute notes into each little pocket for the days for her children. And I'm thinking, her kids are 4 and 6, okay? They don't want notes. They want little prizes. They want little toys. They want little candy. And the Advent calendar that she's showing us, maybe it's okay for someone who's an adult who's trying to have the curated beige experience of Christmas that she's trying to have. But when you're dealing with a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, they want fun stuff, okay? They want the kind of Advent calendar that you get when you go to Walgreens. It's, just like that cute, like paper thing where you just pop it out and get a chocolate every day for, like $7 or whatever. That's what they want. They don't want this weird beige cloth thing with pockets hanging on a wall. And then again, I got so pissed off watching that because she's talking about an Advent calendar, but absolutely no mention of Jesus Christ, our Savior. She's talking about how, it's like a whimsical, joyful thing to do in anticipation of the holiday. And she's just doing it to show her kids how much she loves them. Again, her reminding them how much they're loved by her because she's such a wonderful mother. But if it's a tradition that you want to start with your children, why don't you start by telling them why we have an Advent calendar in the first place? Because we're counting down the days until the birth of our Lord and Savior, before the incarnation, which is what we Roman Catholics talk about. When we talk about the incarnation, it's when the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, when he came to save us. That's what an Advent calendar is all about. And, you may not look at an Advent calendar that way. You may not have ever been told about an Advent calendar that way, but that's really what an Advent calendar is. It's counting down the days until our Lord came to save us all from Satan's power when we had gone astray, just like the song tells us. So I'm already I have to take a breath. I'm already getting pissed off, but I have to get it together. And hold on. Maybe tea in my Elvis Christmas mug will help me out. Hold on. Okay. Never mind the fact that she's calling it a holiday celebration. It's not a holiday celebration. It's a Christmas special. And you can call it a Christmas special. She's talking about Christmas trees. She's talking about Christmas wreaths. She's talking about an Advent calendar, which is decidedly a Christian tradition. It's okay to call the special a Christmas special, which is what I'm going to call it moving forward. Okay. I was talking about how it is altogether right, reasoned, respectful, and mandatory to say Merry Christmas. I'm so done with this happy holidays crap. And then a couple people in the comments were like, well, what about Kwanzaa? What about Hanukkah? What about, fine, great. If you have a Jewish friend, wish them a happy Hanukkah. If you have, a friend that celebrates Kwanzaa or whatever, fine. But in Western culture, what we're celebrating as predominantly Christian nations is Christmas, and it's okay to say it. You don't put a Hanukkah bush in your house. You don't put a Kwanzaa bush in your house. It's a Christmas tree. Okay, sorry. I'm just going on and on. She's got this guest who is apparently the husband of a guest, Christina, that she had on her season 2. But this Christina gal, I did watch the first 2 seasons of season 2. And I remember this Christina gal because she was a baker and she baked a lot of desserts and stuff. She was like a pastry chef for desserts. That's what she's known for, I guess. I don't know. But I did not see any love or warmth between her and this Christina at the time. I really felt that this Christina lady was tolerating Meghan. She was constantly giving Meghan the side eye. She was constantly kind of just very, very formal and stilted and kind of just like looking Meghan up and down when Meghan would talk or interject with her. They had a very weird, off-putting vibe, those two, and I remember. So when I'm watching this and I see that this Will guy is the husband of that Christina lady, I'm like, oh, this should be interesting. Yeah, this guy is, I guess, a restaurateur and an author, Will Guidara, and he wrote this book and it was called Unreasonable Hospitality. And Meghan is trying to really impress him because she heard from his wife that he really likes something called cacio e pepe, which I have no idea what that is, okay? I've never heard of it before. I'm not afraid to say it. I've never heard of it before, okay? I don't go to every Soho house in every major city all over the world like Princess Markle. So I don't know what it is. And she's talking about it and she's going on, but she doesn't really explain what it is, really. So I found that annoying. But then Meghan starts talking about, rather than meeting him at the door with a bowl of cacio e pepe, which at that point I still don't know what it is, I'm going to make some gauzères, this puff delight thing. And I'm thinking, what? Like, what are you talking about? And then I see her preparing it. And she doesn't really tell us what she's doing to prepare it either. It's just a little puff pastry. That's all she's doing. She's making a puff pastry and adding cheese and seasonings to it and baking it up. That's what she's doing, okay? Pillsbury Doughboy alert. We can all go get the little puff pastry, crescent roll, whatever, and do it at home as well. Not a big deal. Tell us what it is and tell us how to make it, because when I eventually do find out later in the episode what it is, it's basically a cheesy black peppery pasta. And that actually sounds really good. I would have rather have her show us how to make a bowl of that than this little thing that she's serving up hot and fresh, these crescent rolls with cheese in them. I don't know. It's weird. But this guy comes in and he doesn't look that bad in the way of just his energy. I was really kind of feeling him. He seemed friendly, he seemed energetic, and there was even one point where he actually looks at the camera and he says, "Oh, I love it." And there's just a warmth that is exuding from the man that you never see with Meghan, because you'll notice in season 1, season 2, and now this special, she doesn't look at the camera. She's always talking off camera to, guess, the director or the producer or whoever. And even with her guests, she never makes eye contact. She's always pontificating and like looking up and like she's always the way that I'm looking at you right now through the camera. She doesn't do that. It would go such a long way if she just did that. The way that the Pioneer Woman does it, or the way that Nigella does it, or Ina does it, Rachel Ray does it, any of these women. Or it doesn't have to be a woman, just anybody who has a cooking show, right? Like Jamie Oliver or Gordon Ramsay, whoever. They look at you, they talk to you, so we feel a sense of connection. But she knows that she's so disliked, and for a good reason. That's why she doesn't look at us straight on. It's just something that I've noticed with this woman. It doesn't matter what she's doing, whether it's an Instagram reel or whether it's a huge production like this. She just never looks at us. She's so uncomfortable looking at us and meeting us face to face, eye to eye. She'd rather talk to someone off camera and do her little show and tell stuff. And that's what this whole thing is. It's just a bunch of show and tell. Then, okay, I'm just going to talk really briefly about this thing that she does called puppy chow, where she is just throwing a bunch of ingredients into a bowl, mashing it up with her fingers, okay? Just recently, this past week, she was dubbed on social media Salmonella Sussex because she put on her Instagram a reel or video or whatever of her preparing a turkey with her hands, with her rings and her watches and her gold bangles all up in this turkey. And everyone's like, okay, take the jewelry off or put some gloves on. It's so unbelievably disgusting. It is disgusting. There's bacteria. It's raw poultry, okay? Take off the jewelry or put some gloves on. You're here to teach and entertain, but, well, you're not teaching us anything, but we're definitely entertained with the fact that, you're spreading salmonella all over your kitchen. But anyway, so she's doing the same thing with this puppy chow thing, and I had never heard of this puppy chow thing. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you've done it. For me, I know about how to make Rice Krispie treats off the box because I'm a Gen Xer. So, we were making Rice Krispie treats in our house because we got the recipe on the Rice Krispie box. Or, I know what Chex Mix is because you would buy rice Chex or wheat Chex or corn Chex or whatever, and you would follow the recipe on the box and make that. I don't know what this puppy chow thing is, but I had to kind of go back several times to see exactly what was in it. It looks like she puts chocolate, butter, peanut butter, and a bunch of powdered sugar, and then she just gets in there with her mitts and like makes it and everything. But she's just massaging it, and then she's like eating it at one point and then putting her hands back in after she touches her mouth with it. And then she's supposedly giving it to Christina, Will's wife, as a little take-home present from her. And I'm thinking, $10 million bajillion said that she did not eat that, that they did not eat that went straight into the trash. I almost guarantee it. But to watch the way that she made it, how she had her hands all up in there, they're called tongs, Megan. Or just, big, or get whatever you got. Get a soup ladle, get two big, what the heck are those called? Like when you're pan frying, you know what I'm talking about? Just tongs or ladle, something that so that you don't have to get your hands all up like that in it. It's just so unbelievably gross. And I'm looking at that, and then she's talking about it's calling for 2 cups of powdered sugar, but then at one point she's got what looks like a mason jar and she's dumping it in. How can you figure out how much you're putting of something in the dish when you're just dumping it? It's kind of like what she was doing with that bath salt recipe in season 1, just like dumping stuff but not giving us ratios. And then as she's got her hands all up in this dessert and more and more and more of the ingredients are like traveling up her fingers and all this kind of stuff, and probably getting all in her watch and her ring and all this kind of stuff. And then she's talking about how her elementary math teacher, Miss Linda, loved it, and she felt so touched and happy because her math teacher loved this. I guess she made this for Miss Linda. And I'm thinking, don't drag Miss Linda into this. Miss Linda probably wants nothing to do with this madness. Okay, leave her name out of your mouth. I'm sure. Get ready to get tested for type 2 diabetes at your next appointment. Okay, it's just it's just out of control. Anyone who is in her orbit, if she's serving that to you now that you know the way she's making it, I would really advise do not partake, okay? And then the last thing with this guy, Will, really quick, is she starts making homemade Christmas crackers, okay? The decidedly English tradition where it's that little roll of gift wrapping paper and you pull it and it makes a little popping sound and out comes cute little confetti and candies and surprises and different things. And Megan is explaining it to us as if it's something that she's done her whole life. Okay, she experienced 2 Christmases with the royal family. And what I found particularly distasteful is the fact that she is talking about how that this tradition fosters togetherness and connectedness and community. And it was like a wonderful thing. And she was talking about how they all would hold, kind of cross arms and pull at the same time and felt connected. And then she said, it was through this Christmas cracker activity that was the way that I started to know them. And I've got that part pulled up and I'm going to read to you what she says. And she says, and I quote, that it was a moment of community. And the way that I started to know them was they would always have a fortune cookie sized joke or riddle. She says them. Okay, so here's an example when I was talking about at the beginning, the ghosts of her Christmas past and present coming to haunt her, because these are ghosts of her past. She has ghosted that family, speaking ill of the family, hurled all kinds of unsavory allegations of racism against that family, but yet she's going to talk to us about that's how she came to know them, was through this tradition of Christmas cracker, and not even saying who them are. She's alluding to it. She gets it. We get it. We know who she's talking about, but she can't even say who it was. It's them. It's them. That's what narcissists do. They don't name people. When they take away their name, they take away who they are. That's why she always refers to Harry as my husband, but never by his name. It's a very subtle power play maneuver to devalue people. So I really didn't like or appreciate that entire montage. And I'm sure that my friends in the UK watching didn't appreciate it either. So if you are from the UK, tell me what you thought about that little snippet that she put in there. What did you think about her doing that? Because I really thought that was a particularly low blow. And then the next part of the show was, again, her friends Kelly and Lindsay. This part was just particularly boring. You guys, I don't really have all that much to say. She made some kind of, again, like a puffed pastry Christmas star thing, which, by all accounts looked kind of cute. She was wearing pajamas and she went at length to describe to us why she was wearing pajamas, because apparently her friend Lindsay has that tradition of wearing pajamas on Christmas Day. The entire family wears matching pajamas, so that's why she's doing it. But I don't get why you're hijacking your friend's Christmas tradition and trying to portray it as your own. To me, that seemed a little bit odd and kind of out of place, weird. And then the two friends come in, but there didn't really seem to be much camaraderie or the way that you would act with people that you genuinely do know and love for years and years and years. It seems to me there was a lot of editing going on because they're just kind of fawning all over each other. And then when they go into this wreath making activity and they're making wreaths, and these wreaths, I'm sorry, but they don't scream Christmas to me at all. It's just a bunch of greenery, albeit it is pretty greenery, but a lot of what they were making to me looked like something that you could hang in the spring or summer. Yes, they're probably using, winter foliage to make those wreaths, but when you think of a Christmas wreath, you think of bright, beautiful color, red, green, and gold, traditional Christmas colors. And this to me doesn't scream Christmas. And then she's just making these little puff pastry quiches, which again, super simple, fair enough. She's showing us how to bake a pear. But again, I don't see warmth exuding from these women to Meghan or vice versa. I see Meghan, unfortunately, as being someone who is she's just a transactional type of personality. She is the type of person where if she is walking into a room, she's scanning a room to see who's there, who are the power players, and what can she get out of those people. Unfortunately, the way that she's lived her life, according to books that we've read about her, articles, things that we've witnessed, contradictions in her own ongoing narrative for these past going on, 6 years since they've left. There's so many inconsistencies and hypocrisy within her own actions and words and things that she does that none of this rings true. That's why it all seems transactional and fake and phony to us. She is full of it. She's full of lies. She's the queen of lies because she has no one in her family in the past that she's bringing into these events. It all just looks and seems transactional. And it just made me think, what could I do in my own life to make my day-to-day existence less all about what's in it for me? How can I approach a situation where I'm like, okay, stop thinking about yourself, Jennifer, and think about the person in front of you. What can you do for them? That's what we all should be doing, especially at Christmas time. So that's what makes this whole thing particularly creepy for me, is because they're haunted. And she's haunted by the ghosts of Christmas past and all the ghosts of her present, her family, his family, people that they have ghosted, people that they have treated horribly and unfairly and lied about and accused horrible things of. Those people, they're trying to blot out. They're trying to take away their voices and make it seem like they don't exist. And then in her present, she's not listening to any of us. She's telling her, look, this is wrong. Stop doing this and go do what's right. Go live a life that actually exemplifies what you and your husband are barking at us to do all the time. I'm not inspired by her beige holiday. Everything is just very beige. I mean, she's wrapping some type of stuffed animal in what looks like brown wrapping paper. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to assume that present is for a child, okay? Children don't want that. They want fun, bright wrapping paper, especially when they're young. Save the beige for when they're older and you want to be your Williams-Sonoma Pottery Barn vibe or whatever. But when they're little, give them fun, Santa Claus wrapping paper or, snowflake wrapping paper or snowman wrapping paper. Not this stuff. Got this lady who is Naomi Osaka. I probably said her name wrong. She is a Japanese tennis player who apparently has come under fire over the last year for unsportsmanlike behavior. There was a match in Canada this past year where an 18-year-old tennis player defeated her. And after the match, she really didn't show any kind of grace or any kind, she didn't congratulate the winner at all. Let's put it that way. She was a sourpuss. She had a sourpuss expression. There's also a little video that I saw about this completely awesome move that the other tennis player, the 18-year-old that won, that pulled off. And you can tell that Naomi girl was so over it and she knew that she was going to lose, and she had this defeatist kind of like really shit attitude during the match where she doesn't even really try because she knows that this other girl just basically schools her.
No way, she made it. Could you believe that?
So, yeah, it's just weird. But this Naomi girl comes in, and I have to tell you, there is no chemistry at all between these two women. It's like watching the air go out of a balloon for the entire segment. You can really tell that these people do not know each other. Meghan doesn't know her, and this Naomi girl does not know Meghan. And Meghan greets her with this kind of, fake ass out hug, and she's like, happy holidays. And then Meghan has made her a green vegetable crudité platter in the shape of a wreath, and that is what supposedly makes it so elegant and Christmassy. She's taken these boring green vegetables, this broccoli, this, what's that hybrid, broccolini, whatever the heck it's called, and a couple of radishes, and like that's this wonderful thing that she's presented to this tennis player Naomi when she walks in. How boring can you get? No one just wants a bunch of green vegetables. Now, I love a good crudité platter. This is her 57th one that she's shown us how to make. Just in case we didn't know how to make one, she's going to remind us how to make one. And it's so funny when I was watching this show with my 86-year-old mother, and she's just like, how many damn platters of vegetables is she going to arrange and show us? This is what Netflix is paying her for? And I'm like, I know. There's no tutorials. It's just how to arrange, and it's just show and tell. I'm going to arrange a rainbow of fruit for my kids at breakfast. I'm going to arrange green vegetables in the shape of a circle and call it a holiday wreath for this tennis player, Naomi. And they're doing this craft where they're painting mugs and painting plates, which looks incredibly boring. And then it segues into Meghan sitting there drinking by herself, painting cookies. Now, there would be a lot of people that would probably argue, Meghan, stop playing hide and seek, peekaboo, cat and mouse with your kids. If you're going to show us the backs of their heads, and that's all you're going to show us, then don't show us the kids at all. But apparently titles don't matter to you, and you don't want to give into the madness that is the royal family and all this blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the thing. If privacy really, really mattered to her, she wouldn't continue to show us the sides and the backs of these kids' heads constantly. So we know privacy doesn't really matter to her. So, the jig is up, we all know. And we also know that, according to her, titles doesn't matter because he's just Harry and she's just Meghan, right? I mean, at this point, just show us the dang kids. Put them in the special. Let's see them make cookies together and have it at least be something real that people could look at and be like, oh, she is a mom, because she knows what people say about her. She knows that there's rumors about surrogacy out there. She knows all of that. She knows that everyone is whispering, did she have those kids? Did she not have those kids? Who's raising the kids? Is it nannies? Is it her? Like, what's going on? So at this point, fine, just show us the dang kids. And if you're not going to, then stop showing us the backs of their heads and the sides of their, and then stop trying to show us that you're Mother Earth, that you're some wonderful mother who is so into it. It's just so unbelievably annoying. And then the last part is this Tom Colicchio guy. There was a period where my husband was really into Top Chef, and he was having me watch Top Chef. Well, he was basically forcing me to watch Top Chef because he loves to cook and he loved Top Chef. I was never really a Tom Colicchio fan, just because I thought that he just really seemed unbelievably arrogant to me. And I don't know, in a way that even Gordon Ramsay didn't, if that means anything. I mean, Gordon is kind of like crazy, screamy, yelling all over the place kind of guy, but I don't know. I would watch Gordon and I would still kind of like him in a way where I would look at Tom and be like, why is Tom so mean? He just always seemed really mean to me. Maybe he's not. Maybe he had to be that way for Top Chef. But in this show, you can tell he's really annoyed by Meghan. You can just tell he is annoyed by her. He is a top chef. He is a famous restaurateur. He knows food. She says that his book about cooking and being adept in the kitchen changed her life, changed the way she looked at, how to become a chef, a home chef. So he's there. He seems annoyed. He's cooking 2 dishes that he attributes to his Italian upbringing and his family. Fair enough. But this beet thing that he's making, this beet salad, I don't know. I love beets. My mom is 100% Ukrainian from Canada. My mom makes borscht. I love beets, okay? To me, what he made didn't look appetizing. Now, I might try this beet salad that he made and think that it's glorious, but just from what I saw, it didn't really look or seem all that great. It just kind of seemed like a crazy, creepy smorgasbord of all these things thrown together that don't necessarily go together. But then sometimes that's the stuff that's actually the best. So who knows? But then he's making like a salted cod thing. And I'm thinking, okay, none of this screams Christmas. None of this screams Christmas. Why don't you show us a really cool Italian pasta Christmas dish or something? Because Italians are really known for, they still make traditional Italian things for Christmas. That's a really, really strong Italian thing. Why don't you show us your family's tried and true lasagna recipe or manicotti or something, or show us a traditional Italian Christmas dessert or something? To me, that would have been more of a Christmas thing. Cod and this beet salad, to me, it almost seemed like something you could make in the height of summer or something. I mean, was that just me? I don't know. But during this whole interaction with this Tom Colicchio guy, you can really see Meghan regress into herself, because I really see her insecurities come out when she is around someone like Tom, who definitely knows his way around the kitchen and knows what he's talking about. She just kind of doesn't really know what to say or what to do with herself. And the other thing I noticed with Meghan too, in this instance with Tom, and no matter who she's talking to, she always has these performative type of faces and responses. Like she's always like, it's like, pay attention to my reaction as you're talking to me kind of vibe. You know what I mean? She might not be speaking at the moment, but she's still trying to steal the spotlight from the person that's speaking, because her response to the person that's speaking is always so over the top and animated. She tries to do this thing where it's like, my eyes are lighting up at everything you're saying, and my body language it's what narcissists and selfish people do. They're so in themselves. They're so all about themselves, what they can get out of the moment, what they're going to say next, what they're going to do. They're not paying attention to anybody in their orbit. They're not trying to learn from anybody. They're not just trying to relax and let the other person speak and maybe learn from that person. It's all about them, their performance, what they're going to get or say or do next or get out of that person. That's why I think she's really so uncomfortable to watch. It's just, she's always like gunning for the camera, like even when she's not talking, but get my reaction to what someone is saying. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, Harry walks in and she's cooking gumbo, her mother Doria's secret sauce Christmas recipe that apparently Doria makes every single Christmas. And Meghan is recreating that for Tom. And Tom is graciously watching Meghan do it. And just put a little sidebar for us. Tell us what's in the recipe. Tell us something. Tell us anything. This quick show and tell stuff, it's not doing it for me. And I'm sure it's not doing it for anybody watching. But anyway, I digress. So Harry walks in at the end and he smells gumbo. Okay, he smells gumbo and he kind of comes around the corner and him and Meghan have this weird kind of forced kiss moment. And she's like, she's very, very animated. She almost looks nervous when he's there. So it's a lot of overcompensating going on there. But then again, she doesn't use his name, doesn't introduce him as Harry to Tom. It's, oh, hey, Tom, here's my husband. First of all, that's disrespectful. Use the man's name, but then again, it's kind of stupid too, because it's like Tom doesn't know who the guy is, right? But what's weird is, getting back to the whole beet salad thing, before Harry got there, Meghan tells Tom, hey, this beet salad that you made, it has everything in it that my husband hates. The beets you put in, the fennel you put in, all this stuff you put in, my husband hates all of these ingredients. And then when Harry comes in, she repeats it and reiterates that point, like, oh, hey, look what Tom made, and it's everything you love, ha ha ha. And Harry's like, I'm eyeing that salad, that looks great, thanks. And I was like, why would you do that? What type of planning is going on in this show? If you supposedly love your husband and want to make your guest Tom feel comfortable and safe in front of a camera, I mean, he's doing you a favor, Princess Markle, why don't you have Tom make a recipe that's got all of Harry's favorite ingredients and make it a sweet moment? But it's almost like she's deliberately getting off on the fact that it's uncomfortable for both of them. How do you think Tom feels knowing that he prepared a recipe that apparently is a beloved family recipe, but it's got everything in it that her husband apparently hates, right? And then Harry comes in, sees it, and he's like, oh, like a bowl of gruel. Great, looks great. It was just a very weird vibe thing. And then to see her in the middle, like like getting off on it. That's what I'm talking about when I say that, like, these narcissists try to make everything all about them. But then another creepy, weird thing that a lot of them do is they will make jokes and put others in uncomfortable situations to like spite them, but do it in a really weird, backhanded kind of way that kind of allows them not to take responsibility for it, but yet they're laughing about it. But she's just like, ha ha ha, you don't like this salad, ha ha. Tom's uncomfortable about it. Harry's uncomfortable about it. That to me was the part in the show where Meghan seemed the most joyful, when it seemed like she had pulled the wool over both of them. Like, ha ha, like you made something he hates and you hate it. And are you deliberately trying to make both of these men uncomfortable? Because ka-ching, you did a great job, mission accomplished. And then Harry's talking about, oh, well, your gumbo, your mom's is better though. And you could tell she did not like that. She did not like that. And then Harry also is like, oh, before you serve it to me, don't put the seafood in it. So I guess apparently he just eats the gumbo with just the chicken and the sausage in it, but not the seafood. I hate to break it to you, Harry, but gumbo is predominantly seen as a seafood dish. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what gumbo is. If you've ever been to Bourbon Street, if you've ever been to New Orleans, if you've ever eaten gumbo, Cajun style, it's all about the seafood. So I just find that really funny that Harry's got, apparently it looks like the palate of an 11-year-old, because he doesn't really like anything, and then he's making people make special concessions for him the way you would a 10 or a 12-year-old. I mean, fair enough, but don't put it in your show making you look like a petulant child, because that's really what it looked like. And then the end of the show just shows her decorating a room that is completely empty, getting ready for something. And then you're watching this thinking, well, who's coming? Because you have no family. You have like a few friends that you still jam down our throats like Kelly and Lindsay and say that they're your friends. Like, who's coming to this little soiree? Because we know none of your family's coming, Meghan. And we know sure as hell none of his family's coming to this shindig, which is very, very sad. And who is it? Who's invited? It's the crew. It's the crew. And didn't she do that end of season 2? Something like that? I don't remember. Feeding the crew. These are the only people that want to eat what she's cooking up hot and fresh, okay? So the crew comes in, and those are the people that she's toasting and thanking and everything. All the people that are getting paid to be there are the people that are partaking of her holiday shindig. So that's what we learned in this holiday celebration. Oh, I'm sorry. I told you I wasn't going to call it a holiday celebration. That's what we learned in Meghan's Christmas celebration, you guys. That Christmas trees are all about ornaments and memories. And I'm going to serve up hot and fresh my husband's stuff that I know he hates, and I'm going to laugh about it. And I'm going to show and introduce people that aren't really friends, that are kind of paid to be there, and it's kind of weird and awkward. And I'm going to go Christmas tree shopping by myself, and I'm going to paint cookies by myself and drink while I do it. And I don't know. I'm just not inspired. I'm not inspired. And yeah, this does remind me of Christmas past, present, and future for Harry and Meghan. They are being terrorized by the ghosts of all three.
What do you want with me? Much.
Okay? They have ghosted their families. Well, Meghan more so than Harry, because Meghan has refused to talk to anyone for going on 10 years on her side, save her mother. But Harry, at least I think, has some lines of communications open, even though I'm sure it's very, very fractured and contentious, especially the relationship that he has with his brother William and his sister-in-law Catherine. So yeah, so that's what happens when you don't confront your Christmas past, when you are out there in your present, conducting yourself the way that you're conducting yourself. Meghan with this hollow sham of a Christmas special that she's trying to peddle down our throats. And then in Harry's present, what is he doing now? He went on the Stephen Colbert show just the other night, and he was involved in some little sketch that I'm sure Stephen chuckles to himself and thinks is so funny. Oh yeah, I'm going to make my own little special Hallmark movie with a prince and everything. And then Harry supposedly shows up and, he's the prince starring in it. And who writes this garbage? Why is Harry there? First of all, Stephen Colbert, his show is canceled. He only has about, 5-6 months left on the air. And someone like Stephen Colbert, I am sorry, but I look at someone like him and he's constantly talking about, oh, I'm a Catholic. But yet he's the type of buffet style pick and choose cafeteria Catholic that still supports infanticide, abortion, and Planned Parenthood. So that's a whole nother thing. But he's so unbelievably arrogant. He's of that whole late night set, him and people like Kimmel, where they sit there and they preach to us and they try to alienate and marginalize us and tell us that, we're horrible, evil, rotten people because we think a certain way, because we vote a certain way. No one cares, Stephen. Why don't you just tell us jokes and just be normal the way that, Johnny Carson and Jay Leno were. So you've got this limousine liberal, Stephen Colbert, trying to do these funny sketches, or so he thinks, with Harry. What the heck's Harry doing there? Has nothing to promote. And then Harry gets on the stage and starts speaking ill of our United States President Donald Trump.
I heard you elected a king.
Like Donald Trump, hate Donald Trump. We don't need to hear what Harry thinks about Donald Trump. Nobody cares. Guess what, Harry? Nobody cares. But it's by the grace of someone like Donald Trump, who is not even further investigating all that visa shindig stuff he's got going on. It's through Trump's good grace and Trump's respect of Harry's father that he's just overlooking the fact that Harry lied on his visa application, in my humble opinion. There's a lot of shenanigans going on there. The Heritage Foundation thought so too. But point being, he is a guest in our country sitting on this late night show, pontificating his views and calling, us like, oh, like you voted a king in. It's like, no one cares, Harry. You're making yourself look bad. You're making your family look bad. That's what you're doing in your Christmas present right now. You've alienated everyone in the past. You've behaved like a jerk in the past. You're continuing to do so in the present. So what's going to happen now? What is going to happen to these two clowns in the future? What is the ghost of Christmas future going to say when he shows up to them, at the stroke of 3 or whenever it happens in the book, right? When he shows up to them in the middle of the night and shows them the error of their ways, are they going to listen? Because what's happening, or what's probably going to happen in their future, it ain't looking good. It's looking pretty bleak. You have an 81-year-old father right now in the Philippines who has never met his grandchildren, who's never met your husband. You are posting reels of your husband on this stupid late night show, and you're also posting videos of yourself doing a collaboration with some chocolate company on your Instagram at Christmas time. This is what you're doing. And your father is almost dying in hospital in the Philippines at Christmas time.
Forgive me for saying this, but I see the shadow of my sister in your face. I loved your mother, Fred. For a time there, I forgot just how much I loved her. Perhaps I chose to forget. Well, now, it isn't too much trouble. I should like to sample some of that punch for which you're so famous.
Of course. You've made us both very happy, Uncle Ebenezer.
Have I? Yes. God forgive me for the time I wasted.
time. This is what you're doing. This is your future. You have a narrow window of time. You owe it to your husband and you owe it to your children. Your children have no idea who Thomas Markle Sr. is. And they're going to grow up and they are going to point the big, long, pointy ghost of Christmas future skeletal finger at her and be like, you did this.
Are you the spirit which Jacob Marley foretold would visit me? And I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come, am I not? You're about to show me the shadows of the things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that so? I fear you more than any specter I've seen. Very well. Lead on. Night is waning fast. Time is precious to me.
You did this. You kept us from our maternal grandfather, and you also kept us from our paternal grandfather. Because make no mistake about it, if Meghan were to tell Harry, I want to reconcile with your family and I want your father to be able to see the children, let's go. Let's go visit them right now. You know that Charles, his big softy heart, would totally let them come. What would be disgusting is that those two would try to milk it and make it a media circus because that's what they do. But I'm talking about, you know, through some stroke of the Holy Spirit, if she had a come to Jesus moment and was like, you know, I need to do this. My children have no familial relations with anyone in their extended families. I owe it to them. They have to forge these bonds. They have to meet these people. They have to know who they are and where they come from beyond just us in our 16 bathroom mansion with the nanny. Is she going to listen to the ghost of Christmas future? I don't know. But personally, I do not see Thomas Markle lasting for that much longer. When you're 81 years old and you have a limb amputated like that, I don't know if he's a type 2 diabetic. I have a type 1 diabetic son, so I know a lot about diabetes. Obviously, my son got it when he was 3.5 years old. I've always said, I'm like a diabetic nurse that doesn't get paid, okay? I am in it with my son every single day. He wears a pump, he wears a continuous glucose monitor, but our lives are consumed with my son's blood sugars and where they're going and what they're doing. We have to. It's a 24/7 life-threatening disease. So when I heard that Thomas Sr. had his leg amputated, I was thinking, oh, please, Lord, do not let this man have type 2 because that type of stuff happens. The circulation gets so bad, clots form, limbs, feet, legs have to be amputated. It's just a horrible, horrible, rotten mess. And I do feel so bad for him. I'm going to continue to pray for him. I would encourage you guys to pray for him as well. I am sure this man is going through the throes of heartache that we probably don't even know. I mean, you might know if you have a child that is estranged to you or in a similar situation that Thomas is, you might know. But I can only imagine how he feels because as a mom myself, if you're a parent, you know how much we give to our kids. You know how our kids are our whole lives, how we shape all of our decisions, our daily decisions on what's best for them. And that's what he did for her. And to be thrown out like yesterday's trash and now to have his leg, his, left leg below the knee gone in critical condition, probably thinking how much longer he has. It's all just a sad, sad, horrible mess. But same thing with Harry. Harry has a father who has terminal cancer. We don't know exactly what's going on with Charles, the specifics of his condition, but we have been told that it's incurable and that it's something that he's going to have to live with moving forward for the rest of his life. I'm a stage 3 rectal cancer survivor, thank God, through the grace of God. I came out the other side and was 5 years cancer-free in 2023. But I know enough to know that when you're told that it's incurable and it's something you have to live with for the rest of your life, in my humble opinion, that's stage 4, folks. That means that it will eventually consume him and he will expire from cancer. So Harry knows that. Harry knows that. And what is he doing? He's letting this woman in Montecito micromanage him and he's letting his ego and his pride and all of his resentment against his brother color the way that he deals with his family. So yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. All ghosts of past, present, and future are haunting these two. They're haunting these two for the Christmas season. But you know what? Unfortunately, I don't think these two would learn a damn thing, even if all three ghosts from all different time periods came and visited them. And it's really, really sad. So I would ask you to continue to pray for these fools. They are on the exact wrong path. I'm going to say that I do realize that there are people out there that are estranged from family members for different reasons. Sometimes there is so much trauma and so much bad blood and horrible things that have gone down between people that the bonds have been dissolved to the point that they can never be rebuilt. I understand that. You can still forgive, but step away. But when we already know who she is and what she's about, and what do we know? We know that she apparently cut Thomas Sr. out of her life because he lied to her about paparazzi photos. Now, she says he was working with the paparazzi and lying to her about it. And that's what was, I guess, the catalyst for her to cut him out of her life. She didn't trust him, all this kind of stuff, right? Okay, fair enough. You probably felt upset about it at the time, but almost a decade later, this woman has paparazzi on dial-a-pat. She's got him on speed dial. So who is she to stand on her soapbox and pontificate to him and us about family values and about trust and all? She does the same thing he did, okay? She knows that we know that. She knows that the public, by and large, doesn't buy the reason why she tossed him out like yesterday's garbage. I believe that she knows that everyone thinks that it's pretty crappy the way she's thrown him out. So Meghan is in a position where she could help everyone rise above the muck and the mire they find themselves in now by just being the bigger person and extending an olive branch and saying, hey, let's, talk, let's work this out. She has nothing to lose and everything to gain, but it's her ego, it's her pride, it's her narcissism shielding herself. I personally think she just doesn't like her dad. She feels her dad is a nuisance. He's overweight. He's brash. He's a loudmouth. I think that's why she threw him away, because she didn't want him opening his mouth, saying things about her off the cuff that she didn't want out there. That's personally why I think she threw her dad away. And now that he's sick and now that she's, spent all this time away, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. But I just have a feeling that when he does pass, she's going to try to garner sympathy, and she's going to try to throw some things out there about him that are going to be designed to shut us all up. She's going to come back and say, well, you didn't know what went on when it was just me and dad and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's just every time I talk about Meghan lately, it is about this really kind of creepy, dark stuff. But that's just what I'm reading from this woman. And it's just seemed to have gotten worse since her whole Paris debacle in October. When she showed up with that weird, vacant, dead-in-the-eye persona look that she was trying to throw at us, it just kind of clicked. And I was just like, wow, there's something really dark going on with her. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And now to have all this dark stuff going on with her family now, and she's talking to us about chocolate and wreaths. So pray for everyone involved, you guys. Pray for everyone involved. Pray that the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future pay those two clowns a visit. Maybe they'll finally wake up. Hopefully they will. And hopefully they'll have a Merry Christmas and call it a Christmas. Call it a Christmas. Let Christ into their life and really start to behave like the children of God that they were meant to be. They have a platform. They have been put in this position for whatever reason. God has put them in this position. And who knows? It seems like he's just allowing them to just kind of do what they do to serve as a model of what not to do. But if they were smart, they would turn everything around and use their platform to do some good, to really do some good. Do something good for a change, Harry. Do something good for a change, Meghan. Let's hope and pray that these clowns do it. It would be nice. Don't really know if they are, though. Don't really know. It's awful. It's like they're taking a play out of the Ebenezer Scrooge playbook, but they're trying to act like they're a Bob Cratchit, right? They're trying to act like they're an everyman, struggling everyman is trying to appeal to us, but we see through it. We know that you guys are two Scrooges, and we know that you're full of BS, and we're getting really sick of it, frankly. I've been babbling on for a while. I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas season. Keep Christ in Christmas. I would encourage you to do so. Go watch my latest Errol Flynn Slept Here video. We're now in episode 10. I released it and I noticed that it hasn't been getting as much traction as some of my other videos. Remember, the world doesn't revolve around Harry and Meghan. There's so many fun topics on this channel that I talk about. So if you love old Hollywood and you love a good story, a good ghost story, I encourage you to get into my Errol Flynn Slept Here series. I think you would really, really enjoy it. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. If there's a hype button under my video, I think there is. Go ahead and hype the video. That would help me out. So thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye.
Dear me, I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been but for this visitation. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Good Spirit, your nature intercedes for me and pities me. Say that I may change these things by an altered life. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Tell me. Tell me that I may sponge away the writing on this stone. Spare me. Spare me.